This course or this workshop, we're not going to speak about ideas, startup ideas, what you should be building. There is tons of other courses in MIT that will do a much better job in this aspect. This course is about many of the things you spoke about. How you understand the big picture. How do you have a perspective in terms of the way you start the company and how it will look like a few years down the road. I think someone spoke about understanding like how it looks like when you start scaling the company. So you are not in a reactive mood all the time, but you have a perspective how things will look like. If you are a five-person company, how is this different than being 100? How is this different than being 1,000? Because it wouldn't be the same company. It will be a different beast, right? And it will be different in what sense, right? So what we are going to discuss in the coming 2 days is not the what. It's this process of designing, forming, and scaling a company. How we should look at it, and how we should understand it, and there is a life cycle for it, right? If you don't mind, sit within your teams. This would be the best thing. Which team want to go first? I'll choose. Do you mind going first? Okay, so give me a name for your team.
We're Surgery 3.0.
How many people are in your team?
It's 6 of us.
6 people. So what's the business plan? I mean, elements. What are the elements of the business plan?
I guess on a high level, the idea behind the business is that we market this to, we first start Buzz by marketing towards individual surgeons, but at the end of the day, we want to be selling to institutions. We have some sort of yearly or regular subscription plan.
Okay.
Institutions would pay.
So selling to X, and what you said? What did you say after selling?
A yearly subscription plan or something.
Okay, the sub-plan. One question. How do you understand an execution plan?
My understanding would be like, where do you start and how do you get to, how do you grow?
Okay. Some words. MVP, minimal viable product. It's good to learn the lingo, huh? MVP, yeah?
And then after that, try to scale from there by once you target one institution.
And you will build this MVP by those software team?
Right, exactly.
Okay. Did you agree how this MVP will look like?
So the idea, so the MVP...
No, it's yes or no. Did you agree or not?
As in, does our team agree on what the... Yeah, we agree to some extent.
Did you all agree?
Yeah.
Great! Could you give them a hand? Good job. Who wants to go next? Okay, one question. What's the difference between selling, sales, and marketing? Is there a difference or they are the same? Different. Who's saying different? How they are different?
I'd say marketing is putting the information out to the general public, to the target groups that you're interested in selling to, and then selling is actually making the transaction.
This is getting it. So marketing is mainly about pushing and pulling information. This is the main transaction happening, right? Sales, it's selling the actual products or services you have in exchange of money or whatever, right? So this is a key difference. So when we speak about marketing, we're speaking about understanding the market and raising the awareness of the market about the product we're working with or on, right? What's the value, what's the differentiation between this product and other competitors and so on. Selling is actually going and sell the actual product to this market, the identified market, right? So back to your point, when you spoke about building relations with hospitals or?
Yeah, hospitals or nurseries.
So you are building relation to, as part of your marketing activities, to raise their awareness about the existence of this product Yet, they are not the ultimate buyers. They are not the ones who will give you the money. You just want them to know that there is this product so that they can help you in spreading the news about your product to the ultimate users, right? Okay, interesting. Any other things on the execution?
We had a timeline.
Huh. First time to hear this word today, timeline. Okay. So, about all of that, I'm not interested in the what, I'm interested in the how. What we're going to do now is kind of group therapy. Okay? Forget about the ideas, forget about the business plan, forget about the execution. Go back and remember what happened from the moment you walked from your chair, going for the dinner and starting the networking and trying to find the team that you want to work with. Going through the whole process. What are the most challenging things for you personally that you found very challenging, very difficult, and you don't know how to do it or why you should be doing that? Let's do that. Brainstorming, quick one. Give me words, and I will just write it down. Understand. I think we need to unpack this. What do you really mean?
One would be
Deep dive.
one from my perspective would be understanding the technology itself that we're looking at. But then on the other hand, should I invest my time in things?
Should I spend time and energy? And maybe technology, understanding. Okay, what else?
I noticed for us it was a little difficult to exit the ideation stage, and we sort of kept coming back to it.
Yeah, this is very classical. Moving on from, did you have the same problem moving in from the business plan to the execution?
We merged them together. So
Okay.
we had to do both at the same time.
This is fine.
It's a complex activity, so
Why?
many variables to think about,
Ah.
be connected.
So, complexity, and you define it as too many variables. This is very interesting.
Moving from the vague phase to the precise phase, like being able to say we're gonna do X, we're gonna do we create, like they said, 1,000 units, and it's all this price. How do you move from this vague idea that we're gonna sell this product to the precise of what and how exactly?
Refining ideas, iteration. Yeah.
I was going to say that it was challenging that we didn't have the opportunity. Like, it would have been nice to have a little more time to go do some research or whatever, so we'd fully understand. There was getting, I think, from your initial suggestion, he'd heard of a use case where a surgeon had actually used Google Glass in surgery, and that was really cool to hear. It was like validating. So we didn't have a lot of information to go on, and getting it all on the table.
You wanted more information to do what?
To understand, going back to thoroughly understanding the idea, a little bit more information to make sure that it's really valuable.
So is it again, should I spend the time and the energy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess the setting is probably a moot point, but real life, to understand whether you fit in the team, whether, you know...
Here we go. Now we're diving. Do I fit in the team? What do you mean by do I fit?
I mean, do we share the same values, the same vision? are we in this business with the same motives?
Commitment.
Commitment.
Very important word. Okay. Interesting.
Are we assigning the right roles to the right people? I mean, it's in this situation we have the person who's created the idea who's probably going to take the lead. But
Yeah. Have you all noticed that? People who suggested the ideas are the one who spoke on behalf of the team. Right? There is a very famous syndrome called founder syndrome. It happens to many companies, and sometimes it's the doom of the company.
It's a little both, because you've
Yeah,
got to understand the capabilities
true.
in order to manage. And
They are very connected, so the assigning the roles and understanding the team has to do with team management. And many times people like us coming from very technical background, we tend to overlook the importance of managing people, right? How to assign roles, how to motivate people, how to follow up with people, how to give feedback, how to develop people, right? Because, I mean, we're not perfect. Someone might be technically very good, but in terms of communication, they are horrible. They cannot communicate their ideas. So would you just sacrifice a team member because he or she is not capable of communicating, or will you try to work with them? Or what is the threshold that you should try or you should give up? All these kind of questions, you will be surprised that many times these are the reason for companies to fail. People issues, right? So the whole idea of managing a team, managing people, is a very complex, very hard, yet very important. Sometimes companies fail not because of products or because of technologies. They fail because of the people. At the end of the day, people are the ones who do everything, right? What else? Concerns, deep concerns, challenges.
Thresholds for funding, what stages, what's necessary at early stage, seed stage, moving forward, and
This was challenging for you today, or you think this will be challenging later on? I'll speak about the experience you had today. Like, did this worry you today?
well, it worried me when you're thinking about the partners who are going to be the stakeholders and how to validate this concept as far as funding.
Yeah. So many times, yeah, especially that your concept is huge. I mean, you will need funding, right? We will get you funding, don't worry. Yeah. Company vision. Yeah, profit versus non-profit. As an example, of course, there is lots of vision-related questions. Challenges, concerns.
It's kind of similar to commitment, but maybe how much are you willing to fail before you succeed, or is there a point at which you just say don't?
Yeah. Persistence. And this is related to what? It has to do with like other sources of income, family commitments.
Just all sorts of externalities that can
Yeah, you see? It's even beyond the individuals. It's like the life they are living, right? Do they have like student loans? At which stage of their career or study? Commitments, responsibilities. They are international students, so there might be some complications regarding the visa, right? All of this will like impact the persistence. I mean, away from their personal persistence, there could be very practical reasons that they wouldn't be able to continue, right?
In our particular scenario, we're worried about some legal issues like patient confidentiality and other liabilities. And I think on a more general sense, a lot of teams will have trouble with how you secure intellectual property, how do you deal with competition and things like that.
Yeah, legality and intellectual property. Yeah, should we file a patent or should we wait? Or, I mean, a patent is a public disclosure, right? You are disclosing what you have. So sometimes it's not the best way to protect your idea, right? I will try to keep these ideas as much as I can. What we are going to do tomorrow is speaking about the system for a startup. And you will see many of the ideas that you discussed there. And I think this will save us lots of trial and error, lots of infinite loops of thinking. And one of the key problems now in startup communities, entrepreneurship education, startup books even, that I can claim that most of the people are taking a very linear approach to startups. And you will find like steps to build your company, 5 steps to do whatever, these kind of things, right? It's all linear. And as you said here, it's a very complex process. It's not linear. It's not linear. And you shouldn't expect it to be linear, right? So the whole approach that we will be taking is a complex system approach to look at a startup, right? I don't promise you that you will learn everything in those 3 days. But right now, the way entrepreneurship education looks like, I think it falls in one of these categories. Either it's a lecture, someone speak to you about what's a startup, what's funding, IP, forming your team, getting a mentor, hiring service providers, whatever, segmenting the market, all sorts of elements that you discussed here and there and throughout the discussion, right? So lecture-based. And then the second one, which is instead of like one person speaking to you, they will invite experienced entrepreneurs, right? Or lawyers, or investors. And each one will come and speak about their own experience. And it's much better than the lecture, right? Because now they're speaking about experience, right? But what's the drawback of that?
It's not your experience. Your experience is going to be unique.
Yeah, it's their experience, it's not yours. There is another problem.
You sort of borrow their biases.
Exactly. They will tell you about their story. And there are other million stories, right? There is like a successful entrepreneur, but there are like other millions successful entrepreneurs, and you don't have the chance to listen to the other million. Maybe the best style that suits you is not in the style of the person speaking in front of you. Maybe you're not the person of like a deep thinker, you're not like the kind of like very communicative and like very marketeer guy. I mean, this is not your style, right? So all the time you'll be listening to this guy and say, how am I going to act like that? Of course I wouldn't be successful because I don't have his talents, right? This is a thought that comes to many of us while we're listening to those successful entrepreneurs or investors speaking about kind of companies they invest. Yes, this is the kind of companies they invest in. But there are other tons of investors, angel investors and VCs that invest in other sorts of companies, right? So the problem is this, although it tells you about real life experience, it's a very narrow, very limited experience that you are getting to know. It's good to know it, but it's not everything, right? And the third one is kind of a longer version of what we did today, which is like you spend a semester-long class building a startup, building an idea. You do full-fledged business plan, you develop your pitch, you do market segmentation, you do the whole thing, right? And this is good. What's the drawback of that?
Not grounded. You put a lot of time and energy into it, so it's time. While the other ones are a low commitment, you get something out of it. This one's definitely very high commitment. So I guess even though you get a lot out of it, you definitely need to put the proportional amount of time.
Is this a drawback?
I mean, for some people, maybe.
Okay.
You have a job, if you have children. It depends on the externality.
Okay, I don't fully agree, but I mean, it's a valid point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not grounded in day-to-day problems.
Interesting. Can you elaborate more?
Well, it's kind of like how learning takes place with an individual.
It's a kind of artificial environment, right?
I mean,
Because most of the time you are speaking.
You have to have real-world problems that the organization adapts to learn from and work through.
And whom you are trying to please in this experience?
That's really not clear.
The teacher, right? The instructor, right? This is the one that you're trying to please, right? And this is not real life. Real life is different. You want to please whom in real life? Customers. Who else? Investors. Who else? Partners. Each other, right? But in a classroom, you worry about building nice plans, submit a business plan, get a good grade, and maybe you want to continue afterwards, but this is most of the energy and focus, right? So it's much better than the first two because now you have hands-on and you start getting into practical stuff, but it's a very artificial experience. This is one thing. And the other thing is it's very much focused on the instructor, right? So this is the current education. There is so many positive things, but each one has its own limitation, right? What we're trying to do here, I'm trying to avoid the lecturing. I'm trying to avoid giving you personal experience, but rather more of a research-based experience. This is what the majority of companies go through. This is how it looks like in general, right? And the third one is we're not trying to do any business planning or assignments. That's why this is an uncredited course, because the main motivation should be learning and going out and applying whatever you learn, right? So, and you are not trying to please me in any way. You're trying to get the best out of your classmates or colleagues and trying to get the best out of the discussion we will have, right? So these are key differences. The details, the tactics, I don't think that the tactics are difficult. Do you know what's difficult? It's not learning the tactics. What's difficult? Applying, executing.
Believing in yourself.
Believing in yourself. Yeah. Say again? Finding the right people. I'm searching for another thing. These are all valid.
Unlearning it.
Unlearning? Could be, yeah.
Team building.
Team building. What about knowing which tactics to learn? Do you agree? Do you agree? Many times it's not about learning the tactics. The knowledge is there. If you want to learn about funding, fundraising, it's there. If you want to know about building the team, there are mentors that can help you. There are professors can help you. There are some relatives to you, successful people can help you. You can read books, you can search on the internet, you can do all sorts of things. One of the key problems I found is, what should I learn to build a successful company? I don't know, what should I learn? If I know it, I will go and learn it. And this is the problem of many first-time entrepreneurs and even second-time entrepreneurs. They don't know what they should be looking at because they are moving in a landmine. At any time, the whole thing could blow up, right? And this is what we're trying to do in these workshops. Know the system. This is the whole system. This is how it works together. And these are the kind of things you should learn. If you identify areas that you want to build yourself in, go and learn it. We're not going to learn this in those 3 days. But at least you will know that this is an important area that I should learn about it because it impacts the whole thing in this way. Got it? We're all set. Tomorrow, 5:30, I'll make sure that we have dinner on time. Don't be late. See you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Good work, everyone.